So, what is living on $2,000 a month really doing to me? Well, honestly, it's causing some fear because recently I had a 30-day chemo treatment that cost $13,879. And even after insurance paid their part, I still had to come up with almost $2,000 out of pocket. And when you see a bill like that, it'll make you sit down for a second because suddenly you start thinking about everything differently: money, retirement, healthcare, life. And what's crazy is a lot of people think the hardest part about living on $2,000 a month is being able or not being able to buy stuff. But honestly, that's not even the part affecting me the most. A few weeks ago, I shared what it looks like after being laid off at 51 and trying to live on $2,000 a month. And ever since then, I've been paying attention to how differently I look at money now. Not in a paranoid way, just more aware. Do you know what I mean? So, in this video, I'm talking about the real hits my $2,000 a month budget took recently, the real numbers, and one thing I didn't expect retirement to teach me. Now, have you noticed how expensive normal life has become? I went to the grocery store last week, picked up about 9 items, basic stuff. The receipt came back at $94. 2 bags, $94. I'm standing there looking at the receipt like, wait, what? That costs this much? Gas costs more, food costs more, home repairs cost more. Everything feels expensive now. You know, sometimes it feels like you can do everything right financially and life still keeps reaching into your pocket. Have you noticed that too? Like, no matter how careful you try to be, money just doesn't stretch the way it used to. And speaking about gas, listen to this. I heard a story recently about this guy pumping gas into his truck. And once it crossed $100, the pump automatically stopped, shut off. And his tank wasn't even full yet. The card had hit the pre-authorization limit. And I remember hearing that and thinking, whoa, what a time we're living in. Because I remember when putting $20 in your car actually meant something. Now you put $20 in and the gas needle barely moves. You know, if you know what I'm talking about, hit that like button because I think a lot of people are feeling this pressure right now, but most people aren't really talking about it. And then life hits you with something unexpected. Check this out. Recently, I had to replace my electric panel in my house, and I thought it was going to be around $3,000, but it ended up being over $6,600. And when they told me that final number, I just sat there quiet for a second because in my mind, I had already prepared for $3,000, not six. Have you ever had that happen where you think something is manageable and then the actual number comes back way higher than expected? But listen, I got another surprise for you. The very next day, my water heater went out too. And I remember laughing when that happened, not because it was funny, but because sometimes that's all you can do. Because life really test your patience sometimes. And moments like that are exactly why I live an intentional life, especially with money. The medical bill was paid from my health savings account, and the electrical panel and the water heater came out of my savings account specific for house repairs. And this is totally different from my emergency fund savings. Now, when it comes to spending money, I am intentional with my purchases. I don't rush into purchases. I wait because most spending decisions happen emotionally. You're stressed, you're tired, you had a rough day, and suddenly buying something feels like a reward. Have you ever bought something and a few days later you realize, I really didn't need this? I think most people have. If I want something, I usually sit on it for a while, and most of the time, the feeling passes. And that has really saved me a lot of money over the years. And what's interesting is, living this way has also changed how I think about time. You see, one unexpected benefit of retirement is realizing how different life feels when you're no longer operating on everybody else's schedule. Most people are at work during the middle of the day. Kids are in school, roads are quieter, stores are quieter. And the other day, I went to a hardware store around 1:30, 2 o'clock p.m., and it hit me. The store was calm, no crowds, no long checkout lines, no rushing, and I found a parking spot close to the door. Walked in, took my time, and standing there, I realized, this is what owning your own time feels like. And now, and I know that might sound small, but after spending years rushing through life, it feels strange in a good way. Now, sometimes I catch myself slowing down enough to actually enjoy ordinary moments. And I didn't realize how much I needed that. I still don't know how every part of this will turn out. Healthcare still worries me. Unexpected expenses still happen. There's some uncertainty, and I know some people probably think I'm crazy for trying to retire at 51. And I understand why, people would think that. But I know this: living on $2,000 a month pushes me even more to live a more intentional life, intentional with my money, intentional with time, just intentional overall. And right now, that matters more to me than any paycheck could. So, what do you think about this rising cost of living? Let me know in the comments below. I read recently how people are starting to lose their homes. And I talk about how I was almost homeless in the on screen video. So check it out and share your thoughts. I would love to hear from you.